It's your boy Mike from Trouble Down Productions, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 moments in The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 13, entitled Bury Me Here. So I guess we'll go ahead and start from the top. Moment number 1, Morgan tells but don't tell Carol about what happened to Rick and the gang. He basically tells her that the conversation that her and Daryl had together stays with them, that's who she needs to talk to. She needs to go talk to Daryl, which really, the look in his eye and the way he told her, it was pretty obvious that something bad had happened. Morgan even questioned her, basically, saying, you found what you wanted, right? Like, this is what you wanted, to be away from everybody? Is that really what you wanted? And you could definitely tell and look in her eye that that's not what she wants. Moment number 2, all the crops at Kingdom get weevils, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically a beetle that eats your crops. So basically, Chick tells Ezekiel that they've got to burn everything, but it's not the end. When you burn, you can burn everything, burn it down, throw it away, and you can still grow it back, which I think is a big foreshadowing on what's going on between them and the Saviors at this point, or just them in general, in this whole environment, this whole zombie apocalypse. I think it's a big foreshadowing to that, which was really cool and really well written. I'm not even really going to talk about the CG of Shiva because, I've heard people talk about it, and in my opinion, I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I think it looked fine. Comparing to the other shots that we've been getting here lately, the deer, and then the shot of Rick on top of the whole pile of garbage and shit, like those two shots was just fucking horrible. Somebody should get fucking Lucille for that. Moment number 3, Richard gets Ben killed. Now, Richard had this whole plan devised where he was going to block the road, make them late, and hide one of the cantaloupes when they got out to move all the buggies out of the way so they could get through. The plan was careless. He's pushing it. It's like he wants to go off and try to devise this plan by himself, and him thinking that they're going to kill him for it. They almost did, but ended up shooting Ben. Ben ends up dying, which I had predicted before. I figured one of them would die. Either Ben or Richard, and it ended up being Ben, which was really fucked up, and which leads me to my 4th moment where Morgan snaps. Now, Scott Gimple wrote this episode, which he also wrote Clear, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a really cool callback to that. Morgan snaps and just starts having these flashbacks of like you seeing the road where he wrote Clear on the signs and shit. So it was really cool how they did that. Now, Morgan figures out about this plan and confronts Richard in his room, and they have this little discussion about how Richard, didn't do something before about another situation, and his daughter and his wife ended up dying, and that's why he went and did this. Which really, the look on Morgan's face while he's telling him all this shit, Morgan just seems, he just don't give a fuck. Or at least that's what he looks like, which I don't blame him, But really, I love the hat tip to the comics with Morgan in this episode, because after all that happened, and he kills Richard at the second meet when they go and bring him the extra cantaloupe, he kills Richard, and he snaps to the point to where he calls Benjamin Dwayne, which was his son. And I think that was a really cool hat tip to the comics, because in the comics, Morgan got a little weird with Carl there for a little while. His character is completely different on the show, but in the comics, he did get a little weird with Carl, not in a sick, gross way or anything like that, but just kind of weird, almost like he was trying to act like his dad. It was a cool hat tip to that when he called out Dwayne's name instead of Benjamin's. So I love how that was written. And my 5th and final moment was when Morgan shows up at Carol's doorstep and basically tells her everything that happened with Rick and the gang. He told her about Abe, he told her about Glenn, he told her about Spencer. He told her about everything that's went on. And shows up with this gash on his head, he's bleeding, and is real pissed off and just kind of out of it, you can really tell, and basically wanted to tell Carol what happened. And in a way, he basically tells her, look, you wanted to know what happened, this is going to be your chance. I thought it was really cool as well how she basically told him the same thing that he told her when she first went to live at the cabin. You know, you can be here and not be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of in a sense like that. So she convinces Morgan to stay, and she goes to the kingdom and confronts Ezekiel. Everybody's going to start working together now, and they're going to start coming together and devising a plan. Prediction for episode 14, I'm going to say Sasha gets beat up. No, like seriously, I think she's going to get her ass whipped. I think next week is when we're going to see, because we already seen from the preview that we saw, we seen her in the watchtower aim her scope down and looking at Negan. I think this is where her and Rosita go on their little suicide mission, and one of them is probably going to get either killed or captured. My guess is probably going to be Rosita's going to get captured. But that's about all I got for you guys. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you missed any videos on my YouTube channel, I'll put everything on my Facebook page, The Trouble Down Productions. All the links will be in the description below. Leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought of the episode. Me personally, I'm going to give it a 9 because I thought it was a well-written episode and a lot of development happened in this episode. So overall, loved it. Love you guys. Dead to Zombies, Trouble Down Productions. You guys rock.